We are back with another episode of Horizon Zero Dawn, a dish for cure challenge. Ooh, who's this person we gotta talk to?
Come to revel in some strike, sister? Let me set the board.
I was just passing by.
First timer, huh? Don't worry about it. I'll go easy on you. You got any pieces?
Sure.
No.
Well, aren't you in luck then? I got an extra set, a Tanakh original, straight out of the Forbidden West.
Huh.
Sit. I'll run you through it in a hot spark. I'll give
What?
you something special if you win it on my boards, too.
This looks like a game of Mahjong.
All right, let's start off simple. The
Okay.
Tanakhs like to say that Machine Strike is a game of pure strategy. We each get a set of pieces.
No, it's not Mahjong.
Each piece represents a kind of machine, and each
Okay.
machine is worth a different number of victory points. To win the game,
It
you need
looks
to
like
gain
chess.
7 victory points by destroying the opponent's machines. It can be tricky remembering the details of every machine, so you see that number on the top right corner?
Yeah.
That there's how many notes also tell you how far a piece can move, how
Yeah,
powerful
just
their
like chess.
attacks are, the distance they can strike from, and of course, their health. Okay, that's enough for now.
Important.
Let's just play. I'll explain the rest as we go. I own the board, so I get to choose who goes first. Since this is your first time, I'll let you go. Usually you
Okay.
get to choose which pieces to set on the board, but this will do for now. Pick up that machine piece to your right. And remember, each machine can only move a certain distance. Take a look at your notes if you need a reminder. Easy enough, huh? Now,
Okay.
you get to move 2 machines each round. So go ahead and pick a... Perfect. There's not much else to do for now, so... We're forging onwards.
Yep.
Let me move my pieces here. And we're back to you. This time, why don't you try attacking one of my pieces? Try with that machine on your right first. Now move the piece close enough to attack one of my machines. When performing an attack, you'll be testing your machine's combat power against the opponent's. A machine's combat and its own attack power. This
Okay.
board only has grassland terrain, which has no effect on a machine's combat power. And your current machine has 2 points of attack power. So in total, your machine's combat power equals 2 points. Since my machine isn't the one attacking, it has 0 points of attack power. And just like your machine, it's not affected by grassland terrain. So right now, the difference in combat power between the 2 machines is 2 points. This means your machine can do 2 points of damage to my machine. Did you get all that?
Somewhat. Let's go.
Knew you were a smart one. Finish it. Not pulling any punches, huh? Now grab that. See how your machine can't move close enough to attack mine? You can make your machine sprint. That lets it move 1 space further. Try it out. Downside to sprinting. Now some players like to take a risk and overcharge their machine in cases like this. Overcharging lets you attack after a sprint, but it will damage your machine's health by 2 points. So use at your own discretion. Let's try doing that now so you can see what I mean. That's about it for your turn then.
Okay.
Now, I'll let you in on a neat trick. That machine of yours, the one closest to me, grab a hold
Yes.
of it. Same as in the wilds. You can see them marked on the pieces. Blue shows where their armor is thickest. Hit them there, and you'll do some damage, but not a lot. Now, red shows the machine's weak points. Hit those and you'll deal a mighty blow. Here, let me show you. Rotate that piece so your machine faces mine. Now let that machine have it. Off the board she goes, and there's your first victory points. You don't have 7 of them yet, so let's keep going. Your machine attacked mine, but hasn't moved yet. Go ahead and move downwards towards my You've already attacked a machine and moved your piece. But if you overcharge your machine, you can attack a second time. And by the look of your machine's health, you'd be sacrificing your piece to defeat mine. But sometimes, that can be a good thing. Overcharge your machine to attack... Ain't that a thrill? Now, because your machine was knocked out at the same time as mine, we both get the victory points our machines are worth. Good news is, since you're the one attacking, you're gonna receive your victory points before I do. Which means you can reach the coveted 7 victory points first. That's why sometimes losing a piece can be the best way to end a game in your favor. Now, you'll notice you didn't get quite up to 7 victory points this time.
Yes.
You did destroy all my pieces. That means you're the winner! That wasn't so hard, was it? Just remember to always check for the best terrain to attack from. You'd be surprised the advantage you can gain over an opponent like that. And it would save my behind in a game or 2. Try and remember that. Oh, before I forget, these are all my spare pieces. I want the Savior of Meridian to have them. It's a small set to be sure, but it should be enough to get you in on any strike games you find out there. You might even fancy looking out for them strike carvers. They've got all kinds of unique pieces that can turn a game in your favor, though they'll need the right materials to craft you one. Or you might find them in the wilds if you're lucky. You know, I've lost my fair share of pieces after a night of machine hunting or brew hopping. No need to thank me. Always a pleasure to help out new strike players. Now, if you feel like playing a real game, I've got plenty of other boards. I could even teach you a few more tricks if you're up for it.
Might as well.
Thanks. I'll think about it.
Let's try
I
it.
knew I'd make a strike player out of you yet.
Let's try it.
How about this time I tell you how to use a board's terrain to your advantage? Knowing when and how to use them can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Terrain mainly affects your machine's combat power. As you know, you compare its combat power to yours.
Okay.
The higher your machine's combat power, the more damage you can do. So finding the right terrain is an essential strategy for overpowering your opponent. Here, I'll show you. Grab that piece to your left and move. Now let's take a look at your machine's combat power. Combat power is the sum of a machine's attack power and the value of the terrain it's standing on. Since your machine is attacking, it's using its 2 points of attack power. It's also standing on forest terrain with a value of 1 point.
Yes.
Add those together, and your machine has 3 points of combat power. My machine is standing on grassland terrain with a value of 0 points. It's also not attacking, which means their attack points aren't in play. So my combat power is 0. This means go ahead and test it out. There you go. Now, choosing the right terrain doesn't just improve your offense. It can also help defend your machines from attack.
I figured.
Grab your other piece and place it in front of my second machine. Since your machine is attacking, it's using its 2 points of attack power. It's standing on grassland terrain. This terrain has a value of 0.
Which is 0.
This means your machine,
So it's
my
just
machine
2.
can't use their attack powers since they're defending their position. But they have the higher ground. They're standing on forest terrain, which is worth 1 point. This means my combat power adds up to 1 point. Now, the front of my machine is colored. This means that the spot which means my machine gets an extra point. If we compare the you'll see that you won't be. Whenever you're unable to top an opponent's combat power, you can still choose to attack and break their machine's defenses instead. Go ahead, try it out and see what happens. Ha, see? When you break a machine's defenses, you can knock it backwards. Sure, both our machines will receive 1 point of damage, but knocking my machine off that terrain makes it more vulnerable to attacks. Not only that, if my machine had been blocked from moving backwards, it would have received an extra point of damage. All right, as we've seen, the higher the terrain, the more it'll add to your machine's combat power. However, this is what we call a chasm. Only flying machines can be placed on those. But it'll take away 2 combat points if you do, so be wary. This is marsh terrain. Landing on it will take away 1 combat power point from most machines. It'll also keep your machine from moving for the rest of the turn. Here, let me show you. Grab that machine on your left. See? All you can do now is wait for your next turn to move again. Or you can overcharge your machine to get out of there. You can still attack any nearby enemies so you're not completely helpless. Well, I think that's enough yammering from me for now. Promise it'll all come in handy next time you play. Here for more tips? Why don't I tell you a bit more about the pieces we used to play? In a normal game, each one is worth a certain number of setup points, and you can spend up to 10 assembling your army. Knowing what each machine brings to the game and building an army that matches your strategy is the key to becoming a machine strike master. When assembling your army, there are a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, you can never have more than 4 of the same machine on the board at the same time. With that in mind, most players would choose machines based on how far they can move or how much attack power they have. But a real strike player will be looking at a machine's type and skills. Let's take a quick look, shall we? Pick up that machine on your left. All right, let's talk about the different ways in which a machine attacks its opponents. In other words, its machine type. If you look at your notes, you'll see this machine here is a melee type. You can also tell by the shape of the base the piece stands on. A melee type machine attacks the first enemy within range, and no one else. We've seen so. Just move that piece forward so I can show you some more stuff. Great, now grab your other machine. Looks like we've got ourselves a gunner type. This means they'll only hit the farthest enemy in their attack range. Let's move that machine forward and end your turn so we can take a look at the rest of the piece. Let's go with this piece first. This is a ram type machine. Attack an enemy with it and it'll push the piece backwards. Like this. See, now my machine has taken over your machine's spot on the board. This is a great way to take the advantage away from your opponent if they have the higher ground. Looks like we have one more piece to look at. Now this is a beauty of a piece, a dash type machine. When it attacks, it'll move to the end of its attack range and damage every machine in its path, including your own. So make sure you take a good look at the board before you send it off to the races. You should also make sure it's able to finish its attack on an empty spot. Otherwise, you won't be able to attack at all. Here, I'll show you. Look, it even rotated your piece. A manipulative piece will definitely use. If you look at your notes, you'll notice this particular machine has one of the skills I mentioned before. There's quite a few of those, and we haven't even looked at all the machine types yet. But I'm pretty sure it's got all the tips and tricks. I think that about does it for now.
Okay. Now we're playing the next one
Let's do
match.
this. Your move, Red. Time to get serious. Your turn. That was a surprise.
Yes, it was.
My turn. Ah, down to one piece. I'm like, what? Guess luck's not on your side today, Red.
Damn. They overclocked them.
Here we go. That's it for me.
It's not sprint.
Time to make my move. Board's all yours. I always get nervous when I overcharge my pieces. Hey! I like that piece where it was. Looks like you're down to one piece. I won! Oh, but I'll play you again if you want.
Am I gonna win this?
Good luck.
Okay.
You're up, Red. I'm up. Your move, Red. Okay, let's see. That's it for me. Just one piece left. My turn. One less piece on the board.
Aye.
You're up, Red. Ah, looks like I lost.
Yeah.
I'll see you later, Aloy.
Come back for another one. I'm getting too distracted on this game. It was interesting. Oh, there's Petrov.
Come for that beer after all, eh? Here, sit down. Get a pint in her hand. Wasn't expecting you to swing by.
Since when do I do what's expected?
There's that spark. Fire and spit.
Let's see.
Fire and spit.
That's a blast from the bellows. Won't fix the forge, but at least I can forget about my troubles for a while.
Like what?
Yeah.
Take your pick. We got bodies to bury from the bristlebacks, the work stoppage, Olvin grating the gears about his concession decree. Hey! Weapons off the table! Don't listen to me. Nothing a cold brew and knocking some heads together can't fix eventually.
So the bristlebacks and the Daunt.
Where did they come from? That's the thing.
She might give us
Nobody
information.
knows. They just showed up one day, rampaging around the valley like they exploded out of a forge.
Yeah.
Lost some good people. But I heard talk of some vanguards trying to take them down.
Did they come through here?
Stopped by briefly for supplies. Olvind was none too pleased. Won't be able to crank it to his advantage once the bristlebacks are gone.
But how could bristlebacks and the Daunt help Olvind?
2 words. Concession decree. Since no one knows
Yep.
where the bristlebacks came from, Olvind has taken to blaming the Karja for him. He's hoping to dig up enough old resentments to get a strike going until the concession's signed. This is
Yeah.
just his latest attempt. He's been trying to rile up the workers since the day he rolled into town.
And people actually believe him?
Lots of folks suffered at the hands of the Mad King during the Red Raids.
True.
Give him half a reason, they'll blame the Karja for anything.
Damn Karja slavers.
I thought you'd be back in Freeheap.
Well, after the big battle at Meridian, I
Yeah.
went back. But realized it was running smooth. Didn't need me. Heard about the rebuilding out at Barren Light. Figured they could use another hammer. Been scraping by ever since.
Okay.
Just leave.
And go back east? Nah. I ain't one to leave a lit forge. Besides, someone's gotta be a squeaky wheel for the workers around here.
So about Olvind.
Around here,
Okay.
everything's about Olvind.
How'd he end up in charge?
He got here early, like a squirrel smelling a fat nut. He knew rebuilding Barren Light would need stone and timber. So he jangled purses all over Mainspring, getting investors to front claims on anything in the Dawn
Yep.
that might be worth a damn. Thing is, all the bankers back home know that this is Karja land, and the Sun King can revoke those claims at any time.
It's true.
That's why he's desperate for the magistrate to sign off on a concession decree.
This concession decree. What is it exactly? And how would it help Olvind?
It's pig diddle, that's what.
A writ that would put all Osram claims in the Daunt under Osram law, even though
See.
they're on Karja land. It would mean that any existing ore, stone, and timber claims couldn't be revoked by the Karja. No more risk, no more hesitation for investors backing the claim to pour in the shards
Exactly.
and expand their business. And since Ovind has a stake in all those claims, it would make him richer than a scrapper in a junk heap. Not to mention Chainscrape would become an Osra municipality, so he could buy enough votes to call himself an elderman. He's a sly old badger, I'll give him that.
Sure.
Figures if he keeps up the pressure, eventually the magistrate will sign.
He just wants to go to the top.
Well, I have to be going. Thanks for the drink, Petra. I'm glad I stayed by.
Anytime, Flamehair.
Okay, now we need to get out of here so we can find whatever we're looking for. There we go. There we go. Those travel things do come in handy.
I'm catching snowflakes on my lashes.
Okay, now let's go. Let's go west. Or whatever direction this is. Because I'm just making a joke. You almost there? Yeah.
Scroungers. Never said I could find a metal panel in one of their scrap piles.
Crap, no more ammo. Leave my animal alone.
Okay, gotta look through the scrap piles for a metal panel. I'll stash this away for later. I think I have everything I need from Neviv. Good thing, too. I can use a decent meal.
Get down from there. Gee. He was just barely surviving. Okay. Come on, get off there. Need to collect more sticks. I need to revive him. At least there's some more sticks.
That's full, but the stash has room.
I don't know what that was, but it sounded like a bottle. I didn't even know there was a small animal down there. Okay, now we set to I'm back in the town we go. Okay, time to talk to him now.
Ah, there you are. I happened to receive another visit from Olvin himself. He was pushy, but I stood my ground. And dare I say it, I even got my own back. Yes, I did.
I'm
Nice.
listening.
When I made his meal, I used 3 pinches of salt. Instead of 2.
Each journey begins with a single step, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I have everything you asked for.
Then just as you have inspired me, let us see if I can return the favor. Time to cook.
Alright. We're cooking. Grilling. Seasoning. Stirring. And now eating. Wonder if they can make that in real life. Looks interesting.
Mildred, that was inspired.
Next time you want the best provisions, you know where to find me.
It's true.
The next order of any dish will be on my house.
Thanks. And don't forget to stand up for yourself.
Funny you should say that. As it happens, I'm already cooking up my next portion of resistance. Hope to see you again. Back for that free meal? Go on, peruse my menu.
Ooh, let's see. Don't got nothing. I gotta find more. We need more animals to cook. Well, till next time.
Maybe a good idea.